40. And of course, the most important thing, that black gets draw odds. White must win. And here we see the colorful Alireza Firouzja playing with the white pieces in a must-win situation against Hikaru Nakamura.
And we expect a fruity game here from Alireza. It's the early stage. White needs to win, of course, and he's taking a big risk, playing the Italian against maybe the world-leading expert from the black side of these positions. Meanwhile, White's bishop pinning the black knight on g5, being kicked back now. Dark squared bishop. It all revolves around that piece. Hikaru, though, I've seen him have this position before so many times, and often just winning with it as black. Very successful here. Interesting strategy from Alireza. And yeah, what do you think? Good opening choice?
Well, it seems like a very good situation for Hikaru, I think, because it's a very stable system. B4 I was expecting, and G5, look at that. Of course, it's in the spirit of the position, but still, when you need a draw and it would give you a victory, match victory, you don't necessarily face off the game.
Yeah, I guess he just knows his openings. He trusts his openings. I'm loving that pun there in the featured chat from our producer. But yeah, right now, I just think Hikaru too experienced, unless Firouzja has something specific prepared up his sleeve. And look at the black knight stepping out of the way. The black F pawn's getting ready to come. The black H pawn's getting ready to come. All the pawns running.
But White is going to go D4 at some point. Is it already the time?
It might be. Flank attack met by a strike in the center. That would be very thematic. And just the fact that Firouzja's burnt so much time on the clock, he's down to just a 2-minute time advantage now. It means warning bells for me. Of course, a sharp position, and he loves these types, this type of fire on the board. So early days, he needs to do something now. I think Judith, just D4, just play, go for it.
Well, D4 right now would be a pawn sacrifice at the moment, so knight C4 was played, probably for a later stage to play D4, and knight E3 would be the plan right now, I believe. But after H5 it's not possible, because H4 is just a threat immediately. So whether White will be playing H3 or H4, this is the question.
Yeah, and I think they tend to play H3. But the great thing for Hikaru, or H4 on the board, and the great thing for Hikaru is that he knows this position so well. He's seen it before. He can just make those moves at tempo. And look at that. He's just racing through this like he's seen this a million times before.
Yeah, and this could quite possibly, quite feasibly be his opening preparation. Hikaru, he's coming round with his knight now to take this pawn, from where it will put pressure on this white bishop. That being said, the white king has a nice safe square on H2 later on.
Knight E5, please.
Oh, sacrifice. Bang. Just take this pawn, then recapture with the bishop. You give up material, but you get to that black king.
I think that would be great, but after knight E5, maybe knight F5, the intermediate move is the good move in return.
Well, we see a very fancy move, because he's just jettisoned his pawn on F6. Knight takes pawn on the board.
Yeah, throwing away the pawn, but it was doomed anyway. Interesting decision there from Firouzja. And now what next? It feels like, again, White needs to open up the center at some point. This black bishop is so powerful, it would make sense to get off that diagonal for the white king as well.
It also feels that the black knight is going to relocate itself to F5 to put pressure on the bishop on G3.
Yeah, lots of natural ideas here for black, and even if White objectively has a decent position, it's harder to come up with ideas for White right now.
Maybe White wants to go knight E3 to stop knight F5 as much as possible. So after knight F5, there would be an exchange on F5, queen E2, knight E4, and later on maybe the king move to H1 and F3 or F4, because knight F5 comes with a great power in this position.
And you predicted it, Judith. Knight E3 on the board, instantly reacted with this knight trade now, Hikaru Nakamura. And it's a question of who this piece trade favors. Black's no longer got these big threats with the knight, but then again, piece trades, decent, healthy pawn structure here. Black's king not too in too much danger here.
Maybe bishop c2 also makes sense with White, with an idea to break out with d4 and exchange of the bishops.
Oh.
But d4 is on the board.
And just to mention the times, I mean, Hikaru has really gained some time on the clock, because he has just under 6 minutes. And Alireza, who started with a 3-minute advantage, is down to 6 minutes.
Yeah, so the 3-minute time deficit is now down to around 30 seconds. Good news for Hikaru, super speedy so far. We see the last move, a question mark for Alireza Firouzja here. It is a pawn sacrifice. It does mean a mistake. It made his position worse, as we see there in the game review. But this is Armageddon. He just needs to win. He just needs a bit of chaos, and Hikaru takes the bait. He takes up the challenge and grabs the pawn.
Let's see if the rook on a1 will be sacrificed by knight c4, let's say.
Yeah, that's an Armageddon type of move. Just like in that clash between Mamedyarov and Wesley So, taking this rook means that black gives up all the dark squares. White's queen will replace it, and on this nice long diagonal, long-term compensation. You could also maybe move the rook, but that is a slower approach, admitting that it was attacked in the first place. And there we go. Rook c1 on the board.
He needs his rook, but it's chased.
It's trapped. Now this rook, you have to give up material. If you move forward, then the other black bishop can jump in to d3 and fork the 2 white rooks.
But is this wise? Especially when black's king is so open.
I don't know if it's wise. It's it's critical, at least. It's either very good here for black, or it could backfire, and Hikaru tries to trap the rook in another way, attacks it with a pawn instead.
The rook
swinging.
f4.
Attack the bishop.
Yeah, surely he's going to swing the rook across towards the king side. Rook f4, very likely here. What else, simply? On the board. Oof, yeah, this one, I see the featured chat. Imagine playing Hikaru in a time scramble. This is going to be a time scramble. It already is. 5 minutes against 5 minutes. Hikaru, I like his last move, just full control, curling up into a ball, protecting the black king with his pieces.
f3.
Yeah, I was thinking about removing the defenders with bishop c2.
2 viable moves here, bishop c2, f3, break open the other white rook. Judith, you're the attacker. I defer to you here. f3 looks so tempting.
The only problem is bishop e5 is trapping my rook, but still I would think f takes g4. I'm not sure how good is that, but the rook can be in trouble already.
Firouzja calculating, plays rook e1.
Neither of our moves. And bishop e5 on the board. Oh, how is Firouzja gonna handle this? It's getting intense.
Yeah, material is gone, that's for sure. White is already 2 pawns down. His rook was trapped, so he just retreats his knight.
Yeah, but the problem is that black can capture the f4 and knight e4 can show up on the board, which would be very nicely placed in the center.
But will Hikaru have the guts to remove such a fantastic piece as the bishop and swap it for the rook?
I think it's too tempting. Some material. Oh, he doesn't. He resists the temptation here. I was going to say some material up is one thing, but winning a white rook is another. And queen to d7, he's just getting ready to...
But now what about rook e5 takes, rook f6, queen d1, rook g6?
Oh, wow, Judith. Rook takes bishop. It leads to a crazy variation where we'll see black with 2 rooks against white's 3 minor pieces. He has to go for it, surely.
I think that's a great chance for white.
That's a beautiful resource.
Yeah, I don't know if Hikaru's seen it. Maybe only after he made the move, because to see it and evaluate it takes a lot of time. That's why Firouzja has paused now. He's in the tank. I think he spotted it. He's trying to weigh up the pros and cons.
For sure Hikaru spotted it.
I think for sure both of them have. Look at Firouzja just leaning back there for a second. Is he going to go for rook takes bishop?
Look, Hikaru, he was not moving for quite a few seconds, and
and just reaching for it. It's happening.
On the board, all of the minor pieces disappearing. White throws in some Zwischenzug, some in-between moves there. Suddenly, blink and you miss it. The queen's come off, and Hikaru's shaking his head.
Yeah, he's shaking his head, but how good is this piece in balance for white? And bearing in mind that
he's very annoyed.
White's 3 pieces can't coordinate it to the best ability just yet.
Yeah, the evaluation bar shows to us that black still has a good position, but for Hikaru, it means he's lost all control. He doesn't know the evaluation, and it looks like the white pieces are stable. 2 bishops and a knight are a great attacking force if they can combine and
At
coordinate.
the same time, rook d4, and if black would be able to capture the pawn on b4 or somehow simplify it, then it would be black's favor. But they're so easy to blunder with black, and now after rook d4, a3 will be the move. White is not giving up that pawn.
Yeah, this is still going to be a big fight now. Anything could still happen. He defend simply with his rook, but this is inviting the white knight forward later at some point.
Yes, I think a3, the quiet move. Now, f3.
Firouzja breaking out. I think he felt that his dark square bishop didn't have a future, so he had to get it working.
Okay, and Hikaru's just trying to simplify, trying to get as many pawns off the board as possible now, pushing forward with c5. Both sides were shaking their heads a moment ago. Neither side knows who's better. It's such a wild, imbalanced position.
Bishop d3 and e4.
Yeah, white's likely to give a check. White's king, knight, they all need to improve, and quickly.
And in the meantime, the game between Gukash and Anish Giri has started, and we'll keep you posted on any updates there.
Yep, still early in the game. Still opening theory between Gukash and Giri. We'll come to that one after this game concludes. And Firouzja, oh, look at the clock times. He's down significantly right now.
But the pawn majority on the queen side is something special. a5, b4, a4. If black is able to reach that one, then he is just doing great.
Yep, the white pieces need to coordinate. They need to start attacking things together. White has more pieces. Just struggled to get them going. And okay, first to check, the black king is going to move. Where to? It can go back, it can move to the side.
Perhaps far away from its rook on c5. And you taught us this, that if the king and the rook are in different colors, it can't be vulnerable to a knight fork.
Wow, and just while this position gets complicated, just to rewind a few moves here, rook to f4 would have been a killer, a bone crusher. Rook to f4, just killing this white bishop. Hikaru could have gone for this, and look at this, the white knight totally dominated. This would have been game over. Hikaru had a winning opportunity. The rook would simply come to d4 and clean up the pawns. But of course, this was difficult to spot in blitz, giving back some material.
Hikaru got so confused with this opportunity, what was played with, so white has 3 pieces for 2 rooks, even though that objectively probably black is still doing great. It was really bothering him that he blundered something during the game, right? So it got him out of the rhythm of this game.
Yeah, out of the rhythm. And meanwhile, Hikaru looks back at the clock. Firouzja down. He's about to tick under a minute against 3.5. That feels insurmountable now. White needs to get his pieces going. Bishop f2. The white knight wants to reroute via g3 right now.
I think rook c3 makes a lot of sense, and rook a3.
Ooh, first to check.
Check first, even better.
There we see rook c3 on the board. Bishop has to defend the f3 pawn, but it's very difficult to also defend the a2. And at the same time, deal with black's running pawns there on the queen side.
Yeah, and okay, he's doing a good job. Is he going to retrieve that white light squared bishop now?
Maybe he can trap the black rook.
He's trying, but the pawns can roll.
Well, rook d3 and capturing it, that's the best and simplest way of doing it.
Oh, really professional approach there, Judith, and Hikaru goes for that. And you see Firouzja lean back in his chair. He looks defeated right now. It feels like he's playing for a draw. He's fighting for his life. And there we go. The rook gives itself up for the bishop. Surely going to decide this game.
King g6, very professional move, defending the h5 pawn, and Firouzja resigns.
Yes, and it is Hikaru who picks up a crucial 1.5 points. Firouzja just has 1 point, and you can see the